Welcome to the Unheard Cries of a Mother podcast, where we dive into raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, the sacrifices, and triumphs. Here, we amplify voices that too often go unheard, shining the light on incredible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi, and I invite you to join me in this uncovered stories behind the scenes, behind the smiles, sharing the lessons learned and creating a community that uplifts, supports, and inspires. Let's honor the unheard cries and celebrate the silent victories of motherhood together. Dr. I really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me here. It's an absolute honor. I love the work you do and what you stand for. So thank you and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. The honor is all mine.
Oh, bless you. So we're going to jump straight into the questions. So the first question that I have for you is, can you share a transformative moment in your motherhood journey that shaped who you are today?
Yeah, great question. I think for me, it's definitely giving birth. I only have three kids, but every time I give birth, it always reminded me of how powerful I am, right? And the journey is very intense, if I can say that, painful, very emotional, everything physical. And even like the anticipation going through the 9 months, delivering the baby, nurturing the baby, nursing the baby. And it just like reminds me and us as women how powerful we truly are. Don't ever forget our power. So, in my life, and when I run into challenges, I always remind myself, hey, listen, you gave birth to three big boys. You got this. You can do this. Like really, nothing is harder than that. I feel like so. I really feel like that those three moments, like three experiences of giving birth to each of my boys, was definitely transformative and in terms of shaping who I am. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know, I love your response and you really caught me off guard because as soon as you started sharing, I started to reflect on those journeys. And I'm really going to take your advice to tap into that power anytime we're having, just motherhood journey challenges. I think that's so powerful to say that. And I've never really looked at it like that. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really love
I
that.
literally always tell myself, oh, this can now be harder than giving birth. This is
Oh,
like, okay, I got it.
I love that. It's so beautiful and relatable for every mother. Every motherhood journey, pregnancy is so unique. Every childbirth is so unique. And just as you were sharing that, I can draw strength from that myself. So thank you so
Mm.
much for sharing that. It's absolutely beautiful stuff. So my next question is, what's one part of your story that you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged as a mother?
I think maybe not so much me, but my own relationship with my own biological mom. And I have no doubt that my mom loves me so much. They sacrifice so much to raise me, education, everything. But I also feel like they don't know how to love me in a way that is acceptable to me. And like in parenting, there are four styles of parenting. One of them is authoritarian, meaning that uh you do this because I asked you to do it, and this is good for you. Everything my parents asked me, like very like tiger mother, very tough. Everything's like you do this because it is good for you. So as a result, I was a very rebellious kid. I feel like I'm still quite rebellious when it comes to my relationship with my mom and because I feel like you are asking me to do this not because it is good for me, but it is good for you. Whatever your ego, your whatever validation that you didn't receive as a kid, right? Like her own trauma, she's passing down to me. It's not good for me. It's actually good for her. But of course, when you were so young, like I didn't realize that. I didn't really. So growing up, I didn't really have a good relationship with her, and this is really why I do what I do. And through working with all the young people in my coaching program, and also I coach teenagers and young adults in my coaching program. I also coach their parents. And what I like, people always ask me, why are you so passionate about this? I think the reason is that going through this is my personal healing journey because this is what I wish I had when I was their age. And like when I coach parents, and it is almost like I wish my parents had a coach like me when they were learning parenting, how to deal with some of those mental, academic, whatever challenges, but they didn't. I'm not saying this to blame them, but I have come to just accept, right? They love me, but they just don't know how to love me. So yeah, so this is actually one of the very important reasons that I love doing what I do so much. Like last night, I was actually reflecting, saying, wow, why do I love this so much? Because I was doing a coaching call with a student and we're talking about life and future. I was like, this is my calling. I love it so much. And then it just came to me, yeah, this is my personal healing journey. And I like oftentimes I don't share this because I feel it's a bit personal. But yeah, so since you asked, this is really something to embark on my own healing journey, the work I do, so that I can feel, at least in my head, healing, work on the relationship between me and my mom.
You know, it's interesting. Sometimes when we have conversations, we don't say things, but someone will say something that
Mm.
triggers a response that's quite unique. And not a lot of people know that when I wanted to actually launch the podcast, it's been about 3 years now. There was a book that was published, and I just couldn't find time. And I just knew that there was something on my heart as to why I needed to give birth to this. And you've really touched on it. Often as mothers, we have these journeys, and it's not just about us, it's sometimes the relationship we have with our own mothers.
Mm.
And I love how you tapped into the essence of this is my calling and it's also my healing.
Yes.
And this is exactly why I wanted to give birth to this platform, because I think for women, it's very therapeutic when we share and when we talk
Yes.
and we learn from each other's stories and we somewhat give ourselves permission to birth the true essence of who we are. So this platform was really to give birth. And it's interesting this is happening on the podcast, as it was supposed to happen in an intimate setting as well. Like when we gather together in person, I want to do these in major cities around the world where women can come together. There's no cameras. We can just talk and heal.
Mm.
You touched on something that's so unique in that there are so many people in our lives that us as mothers, as women that we love. And sometimes we don't speak the essence of how we feel about that dynamics in fear of people misinterpreting what we're saying. As
Mm.
women, we love our family more than we can put into words. But at the same time, we have to share, we have to speak our truth so we can give ourselves permission to heal. And also, when other women hear it, they go, wow, I never thought of it like this. So I just want to thank you for what you shared because it's so moving. And it's
Oh,
exactly why this has been birthed. So, just
yeah.
really,
I love how you said, this is my calling and also my healing. That is
yeah,
powerful and also rhymes a little bit. Yeah. My
beautiful.
healing. But oftentimes, right, like when young people come to me, they, hey, what is my calling? What do I want to do with my life? I'm like, look at what you struggled a lot when you were younger, right? Oftentimes, something I share is that our mess is our message, right? This is something education, school, with relation with my parents, and was really a hot mess for me growing up. And now it has become a compelling message, right? So yeah, but you said it like calling and healing. So I love it. Yeah.
I got that from you. Do you know, I love you're sharing such golden nuggets so early on because our message is often our mess. And I haven't
Hmm.
actually heard people refer, because I'm always saying to mums, I'm a hot mess. And they're going, like, oh my gosh, you do all these things. I said, I was a hot mess when I began. I still have those days when I'm a hot mess and it's okay. And I think as mothers, we need to like give each other that permission to say, it doesn't look pretty all the time. It's not easy, it's challenging. And that's exactly what this discussion is all about. But yeah, I've been a hot mess most of my motherhood journey. I've confessed that to my children and said, you didn't get a perfect mum. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but one thing I am willing to do is to learn and to walk the journey.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my first time parenting you. I know I've got five, but I can't just assume that they're all the same. So it's my first time parenting you in this journey. So I love that, Dr. I really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
My next question is, how has motherhood changed your sense of identity?
Yeah, like a lot. So I think definitely motherhood added multiple layers to my identity before. Yeah, and so, so my husband and I got married right after my PhD. right after I got my degree, right after I started teaching. So for a long time, like most part in my life, there was only one identity, which is student. I was a student for many years. So when you think about, I went to school, primary school, elementary school, college, master, PhD. That was like pretty much my entire life. I never took a gap year. I wish I did. But anyway, so I did that. So my only identity was a student. And then right after that, I started working. Then I became an employee, like a teacher. So I never really had multi layers to my identity. But like becoming a mom just added this very important layer. Like almost this is the layer that matters the most to all the other identities. All the other identities are serving, supporting, subordinate to this major identity. Like now you're a mom, and so it definitely makes my life a lot fuller and a lot more enriching. Like give me an even stronger sense of purpose regarding why am I doing what I do, right? Like the bigger scale is like support other kids, my calling. But really, like I also want to do this to support my children. And they actually become my source of motivation, my source of inspiration. I feel like expanded who I am because of my kids, because of being a mom, like, a lot more added additional dimensions to who I am.
Beautiful. Can totally relate to that. Totally, totally. And it's interesting how you said like that for your own personal journey, you were a student for such a long time. And then it's like
Mhm.
this drastic change into becoming a mother, becoming someone's wife. But yeah, I can totally relate to
But
that.
what's really funny is that like for every major identity shift, it is a big shift. And I feel like for many things in life, and we actually go to school, right? So transitioning from like even for my PhD, I have to go to school to become a teacher. I have to go through. So for almost every identity, you go to a school, you receive some training or homeschooling, you receive learn some training to embark on that identity, to do a good job in that identity. But I feel like motherhood is the only identity when I think about all the identities that I have that I never received any training. I think this is also it's also what makes this very challenging. And our society just expects women because you can give birth and you know how to be a good mom. I think that is definitely a wrong assumption. And yeah, and I struggle a lot. Of course, I read lots of books, but it's not enough. I wish I had more conversations with other moms other than just reading books to really learn what is motherhood and how is that going to change my life so drastically. I definitely underestimated this. And also I think society didn't have it. Society just makes it feel so easy for women. Oh yeah, you know how to do it. I'm like, no, parenting doesn't come to us naturally, especially if you want to be a good parent. That is a learned skill.
So true. So, so true. And I love what you touched on. Like, just because you can give birth, society has this assumption that you just know how to mother, that you just know what to do, you just know
Mm.
what to say. And that's not true. You learn on the job, and each child will teach you another layer, another aspect of what that motherhood means. It's scary. It's incredibly scary. You've got this precious life in your hands, and you have to raise a whole human, and it's the most
Yeah.
rewarding, but for me personally, very, very scary,
Yeah.
actually. You don't
100%.
want to let them
100%.
down. You love them so much, you don't want to let them down, but so
Yeah.
totally
You
relate.
don't get lots of second chances,
No,
right?
absolutely. That I think that's so interesting that you mentioned that, because once the damage is there, it's hard to undo. Once certain things have been said, it's hard to retract. So
Especially the emotional damage. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, I really love that. But I guess for mothers, it's similar to your own school, classroom without walls. And, for motherhoods, our classroom is in the world, we're students of life.
That's
And
right.
our children will definitely school us. They definitely let us know when we're getting it right or wrong. So the next question I have is, can you describe a time when you felt completely unseen or unsupported as a mother?
Yeah, definitely after every birth, like after baby was born, going back to work. I don't know about the policy in the US, in the UK, but in the US, we have like 3 month maternity leave. It was very, very hard for me to go back to work. It was very, very, very hard, especially for my first kid. You know how sometimes people say, "Oh, aren't you happy that you can be away from your baby now? Like work is easier." Like I don't know why people say that, but like I don't know. Like sometimes I feel awkward. Should I say my honest opinion or just like just say whatever? Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. But it was very, very hard for me to go back to work because I miss my baby so much. And so he had to go to daycare at 2 years old. To me, that's too young. And actually, I recently was listening, either reading a book or listening to a podcast. I don't remember. But this woman, she made a compelling argument. She said that your children, your babies do not need socialization before 3 years old. The only socialization they need is with you. So sending kids to daycare before 3 years old is unnecessary. It is only necessary for the mom to go back to work, but it is unnecessary. I was like, oh man, that just, oh, so good. I wish I heard that. But even, I don't know. But anyway, so that was definitely the hardest. And I had to go back to work for my first kid. It was really hard. Second kid, I also had to go back to work. It was a little bit easier because I went through the experience, but it was still very hard. And for my third baby, I already quit my job, start my own thing. So, I mean, he's still with me, which I'm really thankful. But the first two, those are the two more. I wish I could get more days, paid days, more like longer leaves. Like some countries have 3 years paid leave
Oh,
for
wow.
women. Yes. Some country in Europe, yes. If you do some research or listener do some research, yes, US is very sad. It's so that those were the moments I feel like I'm literally nurturing a new baby who needs me. I nursed each of them for 3 years. Like I want to be with my kid. And yeah, those were the moments I just like I wish I could be get more support, not from my parents, but from the system, the infrastructure in our society, the policy.
Yes, that's quite interesting. So in the UK, I know our leave is a lot longer, but I think we have something similar to you. Where I think 3 months full pay, if I'm correct. Please do your research. And then I think after that you have like a slight reduction if it's not 50%. So that doesn't make it easy for mum to stay at home for longer. So we do have those challenges. But I didn't know that there was some parts that of Europe that will allowing mums to stay home for 3 years, which is so important.
Yeah, now even I know this about in China, and you get at least like longer than a year full pay, and the husband can also get 6 months or a year
That's
paid leave. And
incredible.
if the husband doesn't need it, they can donate their time, whatever, to their wife. So their wife is so much more generous
Yeah,
than what we are dealing with, because so much research has shown like early separation between mom and the baby can lead to so many emotional and even ADHD. I recently was reading a study of how early separation with their biological mom or dad, like whoever is taking care of the kid,
yes,
mostly the mom, and that early separation, like just too much stress for a baby to
yes,
endure, that is going to cause ADHD in the future. I was like, man, I wish more policymakers actually understand this,
exactly.
can be more, can support moms more, right?
Definitely. I totally agree. And I've definitely had this conversation with mums, just that being allowed to have a choice, the reality that you're just pulled away from your child. And I'm like when people say, aren't you glad to be away? I'm like, absolutely not. I want to be at home. I want to be,
Some people say that. I seriously do not understand.
yeah.
That's such a bad joke. I don't
Yeah,
know if
and
it's a
they grow
joke.
up so quickly. We miss out so much. My journey was somewhat similar to you. So it was on the third baby, I was actually able to be present
Mm.
because I was still studying with Lachey. And then when I had Trey, I was working. Um, and then with the third one, I just said, I just can't miss anymore. I couldn't
Yeah.
deal with the pain. I couldn't deal with the trauma. It didn't make sense to me. I was torn apart. My child was torn apart. And it just didn't make sense. So I totally relate to what you're saying. So it'd be nice if some policymakers are listening to this conversation and can reconsider, please. So my next question is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your motherhood journey?
My personal growth, my personal transformation. And it's incredible how I'm literally growing as my kid is growing because every phase has different challenges. And I have grown so much literally as a mom. that I thought was impossible before I became a mom. So I'm really thankful for my own personal transformation, my personal growth as a result of being a mom, like my own emotional regulation skills and how easy that I can be triggered and has become so much better. I have become a lot more sturdy or a lot sturdier as a mom. My like, when I just became or before I had kid, like little things like like, but now my emotional regulation, like my sturdiness as a mom, oh, improved so much. And also because of my work, kind of I understand human brain, everything a lot better. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of myself for my own personal transformation. That is totally unexpected, but I'm really, really thankful growing with my kid.
I love that, growing with my kid. That is so true. You do grow alongside them, and they cultivate something in their parents that you would never expect pre-parenthood. It's,
Yeah.
you have to be a parent to realize what that is. It's so profound. So I totally
Yeah.
agree. So my next question is, what advice would you give to your younger self about becoming a mother?
Enjoy life. You have so much time. Meaning that, I didn't know, like my life now is nowadays is very scattered, especially in terms of my time. Like, you homeschool, we also homeschool. It's just like I feel like it's very hard for me to have a whole day uninterrupted that I can just focus and do deep work. And I do my best to block my calendar, everything, but still. But when I was a student, before I became a mom, I didn't realize how much time I have. I felt I didn't have enough time. But in retrospect, like what are you talking about? You had so much time. Like I wasted so much time. I could have done so much more relaxed, reading books, trips, traveling. I was like, I did it because I felt like I will have more time later. Later hasn't come yet. I don't think it will come probably until I retire. But at that moment, I don't know. Maybe I'll pick up some dance classes. So just yeah, so enjoy the moment and actually like yeah, like I actually had a lot more time than I realized when I was a student. So much more freedom, autonomy that I didn't really appreciate.
That's so true. Totally true. Totally true. So the next question I have is, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother while alongside pursuing your own personal dreams and aspirations?
Yeah, I guess in my case, it's probably unique. I'm not sure about other people. Like for me, what I do is perfectly aligned with what I do outside motherhood is perfectly aligned with what I do inside motherhood. Especially now my kids are older. Like I offer so much. I coach my children every day. So my oldest is a fencer, so he loves fencing. So in the early days of his fencing journey, he was fear of failure, right? Like when the scores get so close, he was like, when someone was way taller, or like he was like, he just literally contracted. And I really help him a lot with his mindset, like shift his beliefs regarding failure. And I also do that's exactly what I do with my students. So I use my own curriculum to coach my husband because in the US, my husband works for the government. So in recently lots of changes in the government because of our current president, like lots of changes. My husband was literally freaking out. He was like, "Oh my God, what should I do?" So I was able to use what all the things I have learned, the curriculum I designed to coach every single student in my coaching program. I was able to use that knowledge to help my own children, help my husband. It is amazing. I was thinking about this morning in the shower. I was like, wow, when I invested in my brain, my whole family benefits from this. And I just had a moment of gratitude. I was like, wow. So yeah, so I literally designed my life to be in such perfect alignment with what I do as a mom. And yeah, like now I know so much about parenting, motherhood, our brain, coaching young people. Like I can see my third kid, it's incredible. He's so emotionally stable. He's just like so high. It's just like so good. I'm like, wow, thank you. I learned that. So yeah, so everything is really, really aligned. And I don't feel like I have a separate life. Also, maybe this is so bad, but I don't feel like I have a separate thing outside what I do. Just everything is like really, really aligned. And when I read a book, like here, I have a whole stack of books, like this book I'm reading right now. And for example, this book talks about like social media, how social media video games are affecting our young people's brain. It shared a very interesting study. So I read a study. I immediately grabbed all of my children. Hey guys, listen, I just read this study. This is what the study is about. Blah, 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 blah. They're like, wow, good point. Thank you, mom. It's just like, so I'm just so thankful. There was the only challenge I think I have is really budget the time in terms of time management when I do my coaching calls. But most of my students are in the United States. So I just like either early morning, not even that many. So early morning are students outside the US, but for most of my students are in the evening. Like my husband is already off work, so he can be with the kids. And so in the evening, I do most of from late afternoon to evening, I do most of my coaching calls. So, and throughout the day, I can be with them. So it's just like pretty good so far.
Amazing. I love how you said that there's emergence between your personal life and your professional life and your personal life. And it makes me reflect on my own personal journey. Whereas when I started off, mums will say like work-life balance. I was a hot mess, Dr. I. There was no balance. It wasn't working. This whole coming home, living a separate life to my children, them looking at me like, what's going on? I don't like mum's work. Mum's work takes mum away. So I love the way you described it. And I think it's right for you. And I think that's what's important. I think everyone
Mm-hmm.
is different. And there's so many similarities with what you've described in my own journey, is that it was just right for me to actually merge. So there was no separation, because I couldn't come home and take off that hat. And you're so similar to me, like you'll grab a book, grab your children. I'm always like downloading, pass it on. And they're used to it now, that most of them have grown up now. But it's so funny, the similarities in our journeys, because that was what worked for me. And that was the only thing that could work, because the separation, it was just burning me out. I was just feeling really drained and quite kind of disconnected, because the more I gave to my family, the less I was chasing my dreams. The less I was chasing my dreams, the more I didn't feel as happy to be there for my family. So
Mm-hmm.
this emergence is so beautiful. And like you said, gratitude, like immense gratitude, being able to live life like that. It's, I get to travel with my kids and speak on stage, and it's so similar to what you do. And I'm so in awe, just like yourself, with that gratitude, going, thank God that it worked out
Yeah,
in the end.
yeah.
So
This is really what I say, life by design. So many young people, or so many people, life by default. I was having a conversation with someone from a church, and she said that she has been hating her job for 19 years, like almost 2 decades. I look at her, I was like so shocked. And she looked at me, she was so shocked. She was like, why are you shocked? Like, why am I not shocked? Is that like everybody in her circle hated their job? I was like, wow, I don't think I can do that. So I feel like most people is a life by default, right? But I think for people like us who are more intentional, we're really trying to be the example life by design. And I want to show my kids, hey, create your own life so that your life is in alignment with who you are. You don't have to change who you are to bend into this thing called job. Change, you can reverse it, right? And you can create your dream job in alignment with who you are. Like really start with that internal, and you can change things out external to be in alignment with that internal. Because for the first part of my life, becoming a professor, earning master, that was life by default. After my master, what do you do? Of course, you get a PhD. After you got a PhD, what do you do? Of course, you become a professor. That was really my life by default. I never asked myself, what do I want? What's my superpowers? What are my weaknesses? Can I design a life based on who I am? This conversation was not even on the table. Never entertained that conversation. And I was so unhappy. I hated Monday. I only loved my summer vacation, winter vacation. I just do not enjoy. And then I have to put on this public persona, pretending, faking it. It was absolutely exhausting. But like, yeah, like I got paid pretty well, things like that. But it was too painful for me to continue to have this double life.
very true. I hear this over and over again through so many families and mothers, and I love the message that you've got there. life by design. And it really takes me back to what you said at the start of this conversation around your mess is your message.
Mm.
Such a beautiful connection between what you're saying now and how you started. Because if we're very intentional with what we do, wouldn't it be nice to be able to create a life by design rather than by default? That's such a beautiful message, Dr. I. Thank you. Really beautiful. So my next question is, can you share a lesson that you learned from your own mother or a mother figure that shaped how you parent today?
Yeah, I guess in different phases, I have different role models. So when I was younger, definitely my parents, even though we didn't have a good relationship, or they are definitely my inspiration, and my parents worked really, really hard to provide for me. So I think that made a really major impact. And also growing up, like, I grew up in China. I'm a first generation immigrant. We really didn't have a lot. In fact, we had nothing. We had literally nothing. And so I learned from my parents, resources and being resourceful are very different. You can be very resourceful without having lots of resources. Like, when I decided to study abroad, my parents were like, okay, but we had no money. I was like, okay, let me figure this out. And I did. So I got my master on scholarship. I got I spent $0. Everything was, sponsored by the university. And I went to pretty good universities in the United States. So yeah, so I really learned, you don't have to have, in fact, I think when you have lots of resources, you actually become less resourceful because you're just like, yeah, right. And now I'm like, yeah, because I don't have a lot, how can I be resourceful? And how can I do this given what I have? Like, so allowed me to be a creative problem solver, being a lot more resourceful. So I really gained that from my parents. They literally raised me with nothing. Okay. And I slept on tables because we didn't even have a bed. So we have one table during the day. It was like, okay, everything on that table. In the evening, we slept on the table. It was pretty bad. Yeah, but I really built my mental toughness. I really think nowadays many young people, you and I were talking about this, they do not have mental toughness. And I think parents also need to reflect on this. Are we as parents making our children's life too much easier, right? And a common pattern I see in the families in my coaching programs, that parents, because we're so concerned, we want to make our children's life easier. What we do is that we remove all the hurdles, all the challenges. But guess what? If you remove all the challenges, you are the person developing resilience, developing mental toughness. Not your kids is just like literally no, right? It doesn't help. So I really thank my parents for that. And yeah, we didn't have lots of resources, but really learned to be resourceful. I really built my resilience and mental toughness. And to this day, I still benefit a lot from that. And but nowadays, I think if I have to think about, where I am now, it's like I love reading books, and it's hard for me to tell you like one person has inspired me. Right now, I think I'm in 3 or 4 different coaching programs. My coaches, some of them are moms, some of them are not, but they all inspire me. And from the books I read, I made a goal. I want to read 2 books a month. And all the authors, the stories, they have all become my role models. And my intention for myself is that I want the Dr. I today to be better than the Dr. I yesterday. And that is really my goal. And all the books I read, the coaches I'm working, and even my students, how they are overcoming their own challenges, they have become my inspiration. So like my daily life is my role model, if I can say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but early on, it was definitely my parents. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that piece, because I think it's so crucial when we're speaking to mums and parents that we don't need to eliminate challenges from our children. We don't need to take away the pain. We need to be able to be there for them when they grow through these aspects. But removing it, actually, it is developing us, and it's taking that away from them. And it's
Yeah,
so true.
yeah. Don't waste the pain. Don't waste the
Yeah.
struggling. Like get the lesson, because the lesson and the pain, they come as a package. When you remove one thing, you remove the whole package, right? So don't do that.
Absolutely. And it's so, I cannot emphasize this enough for our listeners and viewers, because I just got a flashback to my parenting journey. So with my first daughter, I remembered that I used to try to engineer everything for her. I didn't like to see her upset. I didn't like to see her cry. And it was a friend of my girlfriend. She said to me, Sabrina, you don't have to take away the pain. And it wasn't so much that I was stopping her from doing stuff. I just couldn't cope her crying and being upset. And she said that you just
See,
have,
can I pause for a second?
yeah,
That is your own emotion regulation. That is what I was
exactly,
talking about earlier. My own
exactly.
emotion, my own tolerance of frustration, everything has become so much better. So I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm chill. Like, yeah, I'm
yeah.
chill. Yes. Sorry, I interrupt you, but that was such a
Absolutely.
powerful point. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you mentioned this, as I can totally to relate to it. So here I was, like crying my eyes out. And all I needed to do was be there for my daughter. All I needed to do is speak her through, but I wasn't there at my journey, in my parenting journey. And it's funny, like as you go along, you talk about resilience and the way I address things, and I don't jump in now, and I ask them questions and I empower them. And sometimes they say, you're going to fix this, mum. And I'm like, no, like, well, how do you want to do this? Like, whoa, this is different. So it's so important, I think, for us to realize. I love the way you said that, Dr. Eyes, that are we regulated to the extent that we need to be in order to hold the space for our children? And we
Mm-hmm.
look at that during our journey. I'm such a different mother. When they say, you pick up the baby perfectly, and as you go further along, like you've got the baby, but it's not perfect, like they're kind of upside down. You've just kind of developed this sense of confidence, that's unspoken confidence. But I love the way you talk about that regulation. And it's my oldest daughter that mentioned it to me, actually. She said to me, Mum, that when I become a mother, I want to be so rooted that I'm able to ground myself enough to hold the tantrums. And I was like, wow, I
That's
love,
powerful. Yeah. Hold the
again,
time to hold the space for your own
yes,
kid. So you're safe.
exactly.
Come on, cry, everything.
Absolutely. And like I was a bag of nerves, baby number one, bless her. She turns out well, but I was just always a bag of nerves. So I really just wanted to touch on that for the listeners and viewers to tap into it and just do some self-reflection. Like, where are
Yeah.
you in your parenting stage, and what support do you need along that journey? Because I think it's important for us to know what we need to help us grow, so then we can serve those beautiful, precious souls.
Can I just like share a quick story?
Yes,
Like with
absolutely.
my youngest, I started to practice that. And he because children, especially young babies, they are pretty good at emotional self-regulation. Like no kid, no baby will cry forever if you don't interfere. And they will cry in the next 5 minutes if you don't have to yell, don't have to stop, don't have to just hold the space for them. In 5 minutes, they will be like, Mommy, if they did something bad, my 3 years old will actually apologize to me. If he did something bad, he'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. And we move on. Say, apologies accepted. I still love you very much. Move on. It was like in the old days, like fighting, like, why that can last for hours and days. And now, like 5 minutes, I literally see my 3 years old every day regulating himself while I'm just holding the space. I'm like, miracle.
And it's funny that we can laugh about it now, because at the start, the first time being a mum, that's just not how it felt. But being able to just see that development, it's so profound. So
Yeah.
I love that you talk about how motherhood grew you personally. It's so
Oh, yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. So my next question that I have is, um, how do you define success as a mother?
Be the change that I want to see in my children. And like because of my job, I talk to parents all the time, and oftentimes something happens in our conversation. It's always like social media, video game, maybe not so much addiction, but definitely an unhealthy relationship to their digital media devices. And you will laugh at this, but I hear this a lot from parents like, oh, it's okay for me to be on TikTok. It is okay for me, but my kid cannot because I'm old. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, no, no, no. If you are, every time when you have a second, if you are on TikTok, you are influencing your middle schooler. They want to do the same thing. So be the change. If you want your children to be a resilient person, you be that person first. If you want your children to be a reader, you start reading books first. So do not expect anything in your children if you can't do it, right? Like the same thing, we do fencing. I think every sports is the same. Like I see all the parents yelling, screaming, spanking their kids when they are not performing well, or even sometimes they got number two, they're still yelling and screaming. I'm like, man, how many times you actually earned a number one or earn a medal. If you haven't done that, so stop being so crazy about your children. So I think parents, like at least for me, like I will tell my kids, you are doing great. I never earned a medal in my entire life. Like I'm really proud of you for actually being in the arena. Like, yeah, that's amazing. That's courage. But like, at least for me, with social media, reading books, I really be the example. I want to be the change that I want to see in my children. It is not always easy, but I think it is really worth it. And this is really what I value. And my husband, the same thing. We love reading books, and we really try our best to create a positive environment for our children so that they have immediate role models in their lives to look up to, right? And so that is really how I see, the definition of success. Really be that change I want to see in my children.
That's beautiful and so true. I love that. I think it's really commendable for us as parents to look at it that way. Like, what habits are we displaying that are kind of contradicting what we're desiring in terms of outcome? And I really love the aspect of what you highlight, because so many parents are struggling with this battle between social media and overspending time on screen time in any capacity. But I loved how you champion your son, in his fencing, to just go, well, like, you've won a medal. That's amazing to even
Yeah,
be there.
I always tell him, guess what? The only people who didn't fail are people like me. We are not even in the arena.
Exactly. It's
And the people
amazing.
in the graveyard. Those are dead people. Like, that's it. Having, like, I really want to normalize that, like normalize challenges, normalize failures, normalize mistakes, because I see those challenges, mistakes, and failures are actually signs of our children doing something outside their comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And so don't be upset about it, but do identify the gaps. Like, you are a great person, like your son, you're amazing. You are in the arena. Look at me, I'm not even in the arena. I acknowledge you. But listen, let's identify some gaps in your skills. So really make that separation. You are a great person, courageous, but you do have some skills gap. How can we help you close the gap so that you can reach your goal? I think that is much more empowered conversation than like yelling, screaming, and spanking. It is so crazy. The parents, the coaches, oh.
I think we've all experienced it to some level. If your children have been in sports, we've definitely experienced a variation of that. But I think you touched on so many points that is so important to realize, and it kind of reminds us, myself, of our family anthem. Our family anthem being that there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. And then there's another quote that we tend to use is, you either win or you learn. Like,
Yeah, Maxwell, that
yeah, because
book.
there's so much negative connotation around getting it wrong. Well, you've just found another way it doesn't work, which you can now investigate another way that does work. So I think it's so important to have these mindsets. And I think now more than ever, I think years ago, we can get away with it. I think we live in a society that is playing such mind games with our children's development, is stealing them, is robbing their character and what they can actually experience. And kind of, how do we protect and preserve them from what's going on? Because like you said, life isn't perfect. The ups and downs are all part of the celebration at the end. You have
100%.
to have the pain. There's no get fast, there's no cheat card to get through life without going through some level of pain. So what's really important is that, how can we build their resilience so they bounce back quicker, as opposed to avoid, because they just can't avoid it in life. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, or unless they do nothing. Unless they do nothing. Do we want children who actually do nothing? No.
No,
Yes.
exactly. You're so right. So my next question is, if you could rewrite part of your motherhood journey, what would it be and why?
Quit my job earlier.
That was a
That's it.
no-brainer.
That's it. Yeah, like I shared my very first, like, oh, I really had a hard time going back to work. I was crying a lot. I was like, oh, I want to, and you have to pump your milk. Oh, it's just so painful, like miserable. I was teaching classes, literally standing there 6, 8 hours teaching classes back to back. I was like, I had to pump my milk again. It hurt so much. It was like, yeah, I really wish I could, yeah, quit my job earlier. I really step into that fear, because the thing is that 10 years later, I quit, or maybe 7 years later, I quit my job. There is still that fear. It's not like the longer you procrastinate on this, the fear will be somehow mysteriously gone. No, You actually have more. Like when I quit my job, oh my God, I actually have 2 children now. Before I only had one. Can I actually generate enough income to support not only one kid, actually two? So life gets more complex. It was actually, I had more fear to quit my job than like 7 years before, right? So yeah, so I was so naive. I think being very delusional. I think many people have this. Like, again, this is something I see in parents all the time. They will talk to me. They were like, oh, I need to think about it. So I don't know why they need to think about it. Doesn't mean the more you think about it, their challenges, meaning children's challenges, will just somehow disappear as a result of you thinking about it. No, if you keep doing the same thing, you will have the same results, aka same reality, right? Albert Einstein, insanity, doing the same thing over and over while expecting a different outcome. So when I was struggling on my job, I was so delusional. I was like, okay, maybe next year will be better. Maybe after my second kid will be better. Like I was like, no, it's not. It's only going to become worse. But like, I think because our brain defaults to conserving energy, but change by nature requires and consumes energy. So our brain has that tendency to be in the status quo. So that's why change is very, very hard. So because of all those things, I just didn't, and I struggled, and things didn't get easier. I got more fear, but I'm so happy. But if I could redo my life, I would definitely quit my job earlier. I probably wouldn't even, I would take a gap year after my undergraduate, take a gap year to really understand who am I? What do I really want to do in life as opposed to listening to my parents, my advisors, the media? No, 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 no. Who are you? I think this, and again, my message, right? So a big part of my coaching curriculum is to help young people understand who are you, to really gain that self clarity at a very profound internal level. And that to me is the foundation, not your GPA, your academic performance as the foundation for future success, but really how well are you understanding who you are? That crystal clarity, that is the foundation to future success. And I wish I understood this back then so that I could have started to design my life, but like, yeah, based on who I am, not just following this conventional path, which was not the right path for me. So that is a long answer to your question.
No, that is not, according to what did you compare it to? That's not a long answer. It's a beautiful answer. And I really love that you highlighted the question for the listeners and the viewers. Who am I? Like, can we spend time creating space to discover who I am? And I think it's so, so important. Who am I? Like, where am I headed? What brings me joy in all of the noise and all of the expectations? Who am I? And I think it's so beautiful. And you keep echoing back, my mess is my message, my mess is my message. I love that. I think there's such a powerful learning for the listeners and viewers to grasp from what mess are you currently experiencing that perhaps has become your message, but you're unaware. Sometimes our mess gets louder, but we're not really realizing that our mess can become our message, and ultimately can liberate your whole family. Like you said, you coach your students, you coach parents with it, you coach your own children and even your own husband. So sometimes that mess, it's so painful, it's so intense, but it's the biggest liberator. Like you can serve so many people around you. That's really wonderful. Was you going to say something else, Dr. A?
No, that was great. Yeah.
Beautiful. So my next question is, how has societal pressures influenced the way you view or approach motherhood?
Definitely, I think society conditions us to be perfect. Like this should come to you naturally. I recently read in a book, like saying that parenting doesn't come to us naturally. What does come to us naturally is how we were parented. That is so true. So yeah, so I had to change lots of the things so I can parent intentionally, not my subconscious influence as a result of how my parents were parenting me. So yeah, so that is, yeah, parenting is supposed to be easy. Parenting comes to you naturally, and you are supposed to be a good mom, have everything figured out. And especially when you are on social media, you feel like everybody is just so so perfect. Why am I the only one struggling? So I think those are definitely not healthy messages to continue to send to new moms.
Yeah, it's very true. And you know, I speak to so many mothers that have that felt that pressure of being perfect. And there's no such
Mm,
thing. There really isn't so much thing. And it can burn someone out, you know, constantly wanting to be perfect when that's not even you. Like, who are you in your parenting journey? Who is the mother that, you know, you've been chosen to be for your particular children? And you are right for your children. Like, you are so beautifully connected and interwoven.
100%.
It's so unique, and as they grow up they will confirm that for you. And if we're willing to learn, you know, the teaching is there. They will say, you know, not like this, I like it like that. It's a bit like the Goldilocks, you know, not too hot, not too cold. You know, they will, you will figure it out. And I think I really am grateful that you've highlighted that, because it's so such pressure that parents go through and mothers go through to be perfect, and I don't think
Yeah.
yeah. So my next question is, what role has community played in your journey, whether it's been a source of strength or something that you struggled with?
I think both. I think community, and this is something I share with my students. I don't know who created this concept, and I look at community as, inner circle or inner cage. And I think not everyone is going to be your inner circle. Some of them will be your inner cage. And I think a part of growing up for young people and for us is to really build that discernment to see and understand who are going to be the people to be in my inner circle, love me, support me unconditionally, and the people who are going to be my inner cage. Those are the people who are limiting my growth, who are jealous of me, who are trying to drag me down, like who are making me to drink and to think and dream small. And so, yeah, I have been in good communities. I have also joined bad communities. And, when I was a professor, one of my friends actually bullied me. That was definitely that person. That was an example of inner cage. But I didn't know this person should be in the inner cage. But I approached her as someone in my inner circle, and I made a big mistake. Again, comes back to self. Like, I didn't know who I am. When you don't even know who you are, you really allow everybody else to define who you are and bully you for who you are not. That was definitely my case, even though I was already 35 years old. So I really hope everyone listening to this, you can, like, community is so important because we are the average of the five people we hang out with. So really, the beauty of social media technology is that we can create our own community. And so really find your inner circle and find your people in, like, who don't belong to your inner circle, put those people in your inner cage and stop worrying about them. Stop worrying about what they say, what they do, how they perceive you. They don't matter. They are in the cage. Lock them up in a cage and really give you love and work with those people who are in the inner circle. And the last I want to say is that because I'm constantly growing who I am, like, even this is second quarter, I have already grown so much compared to the beginning of this year. And I realize as I grow, my network also changes. So I encourage anyone, right? I think sometimes it's okay to let friendships go because you guys are no longer at the same level. You don't speak the same language. It's okay. We don't have to see eye to eye with everyone all the time for our entire life. It is okay. It is okay. Because for a long time I allowed those people to stop my personal growth, and it's okay. Sometimes as I grow, I update my network, and that is okay. So that is kind of how I think about community.
That's beautiful. And there's so many things that stood out for me. One of the things I really want the listeners to tap into is, you said to tap into their discernment. I think that's so profound.
Mm.
Like, it is okay to outgrow our circles. It is okay to have contextual people in our lives for certain aspects of our life. It is okay to grow, and as we grow, our circle grows. I think you've shared so many key points that is a really good teachable moment. Thank you so much, Dr. I. Really beautiful. So my next question that I have is, how do you cope with the guilt or doubt that often comes with motherhood?
Mm. That is such a great question. I think expectation. I think if you expect motherhood to be like a perfect, you have everything figured out. I think expectation is what creates that guilt, that misery. So if you have that expectation, you are supposed to figure everything out. You are supposed to have this perfect work-life balance. You're supposed to pack this perfect lunch for your kid. You are going to have lots of mom guilt. And I have adjusted my expectation. I have accepted that I am not the perfect mom. And that has really reduced my guilt. I don't think I have any guilt. And I'm not perfect. But I don't think I have much guilt left, because when you look at change, there are different layers of change. The highest level of change is identity. So how you see yourself as a mom, like what is your version? What is an identity that you have created for a good mom? And for me, that identity is someone who is not perfect, but someone is a lifelong learner. And once I have that identity, like, yeah, like, so behavior will be a result of our identity, right? And so I accept it. I'm not perfect. So I don't feel lots of guilt.
I love the way you said that.
Yeah.
You reminded me of a time. I remember I had a meltdown. Like, I was just so emotional. My kids were very young at the time. And I think my children were quite disappointed that I didn't have the answer to something. And I remember that I was in a hot mess and just crying, emotional. And I said, all that I have to give you is my imperfection. I don't know it all. And it felt like at that time, a cloak, like a weight had just been lifted off of me. Like, when you are so right, like the identity that we give ourselves really conditions us to have that guilt, to have those doubts. And I realized that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. And that's also okay. And I needed my kids to know that. And I remember that one of them in particular looked at me. I was just like, you don't know everything? But you're ancient, like a dinosaur. You've been here for so long. And we just laughed about it in the end. But just as you were talking, it's so liberating for us as mothers to take
100%.
that weight off, because sometimes we are the ones doing it to ourselves. I know there's lots of
Yeah.
but
And again, how we approach our challenges, like, is we are teaching our children how they should approach their challenges. Except, I believe transformation, the very first step to change is acceptance. Like, there is a frequency called emotion chart frequency. So what that chart is, and this again is something I show the parents in my coaching program. So they literally create different frequency levels for different emotion. And the lowest frequency level is guilt and shame. And what is that energy? The energy is contraction. But if you want to be a good mom, you cannot just contract your way to be a good mom. That's the expansion energy. And when you look at that emotion frequency chart, and the tipping point from that contraction energy to expansion energy is acceptance. And that is really powerful, right? When I coach my student in the coaching program, it's like many of the students, some of them struggle academically. They join my program. The very first thing I help them do is to remove the shame and guilt, because you can never shame your way into transformation. Never, never, ever. Like, I don't know anyone, like, I'm just so ashamed of myself that I transform myself. Shaming is really, the more you are feeling ashamed, you hide, you isolate, you shrink, you play small. And so acceptance, I think probably also because what I do with, and now you can see, right, how what I do as a life coach for young people is really influencing, like, this beautifully aligned merge. So yeah, like, I'm now doing a good job. I feel okay about it.
nice. I love that. The work you're doing is so inspirational. Thank you. So my next question is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that comes with motherhood?
Oh wow. That is such a good question. The emotional labor. Yeah, I think maybe not. My immediate response to this question is not maybe not so much people in general, but really more so our partner, like whoever is our partner, a wife, a husband, and like our partner can really understand this, because sometimes I am surrounded with really incredible women. They are doing such a great job, but their partners, I don't feel like they really appreciate, they don't really understand how much it takes to be a good mom. They're judgmental. Like, I'm thankful that my husband really understands this, but I feel like maybe we need more, not on a larger scale. Like, this is something we wish all the society understand, but actually our immediate, like, right, our immediate family members, especially our partner, actually parents, whoever with us, actually understand how much investment this is, emotional investment, the emotional roller coaster, the ups and downs, how much it takes to raise a good kid. And so that we can be more supported. This is the hardest job.
So true. So, so true. Very emotionally taxing. You're quite
You know
right.
how sometimes, I don't know if you heard the conversation, like if the mom is like staying at home mom and the husband, oh, the only thing to do is just like, I'm like, that is just so wrong. So I think what we really need to educate first is the people who are in the family actually start to appreciate what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So true. That comment of you just stay at home.
Yeah, and then they come home, they expect the house to be clean, dinners to be made, kids to be well behaved, homework supposed to be checked, everything's supposed to be ready. No.
Yeah, that's very emotionally taxing. Quite right. Absolutely. Totally agree. Totally, totally agree. So, my next question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for your children?
I have lots of dreams for my company, Classroom Without Walls, and I really enjoy doing this work. And I hope that my children can one day work with me. Not like I don't know if they will love it or not, but I do hope that one day they can work with me and they can think of me always as their source of inspiration. You know, my mom is so courageous, fearless, such an amazing leader, such an amazing mom, even though she's not perfect. So yeah, that is what I hope for. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I want them to, like my oldest, I want him to intern at my own company. And that is really what I'm working, yeah, towards.
That's amazing. And I have seen your eldest son do LinkedIn posts. I saw him share some
Yeah.
amazing things. So that's really beautiful. Working alongside your children is such a priceless gift. It's one that you cherish if you even have, whatever how short it is or how long it can be, just
Yeah.
cherish.
You know, like our society talks so much about playing with our kids when they're babies. But I think we can also have this conversation, work with our kids, right? Not just playing with them when they're young, but we can also work with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really agree with that. So, and that's something I don't take for granted at all. I think it's such a priceless experience to have your children even interested in what you do, to just lean into it and like, Mom, can you share that with me? Or can we learn this together? Or can I add that aspect? It's a gift that I can't put into words and I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's even like last night, I was sending an assessment to one of the students in my coaching program. My oldest son said, "Mom, I want to do the assessment too. Can you get like I want to do it?" And I was okay. So I sent it to him.
Oh, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So priceless. Oh, so my next question is, how has motherhood transformed your relationship, be that with your partner, your family, or friends?
Oh, such a profound level, and we become closer. And I think how do we deepen a relationship is through working through a common challenge, working through a constructive like challenge, right? So children come with challenges. My husband and I, we have been through a lot, and has significantly deepened our relationship at a very, very profound level. And that's, I feel like, is otherwise impossible if we didn't have any children. So I'm really like appreciative of that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful and relatable. So, so relatable. And I really love this question each time I ask this question to moms. It's so unique that everybody can relate to an aspect where my children has literally transformed the relationship. It's just and deep.
Yeah, I think now as I think more, not only me and my husband, but all of us as a whole family. So something I always say in my family is that we're a team. And as a team, we're only as strong as our weakest link. Who
Mm,
is our weakest link right now? Not to say that in a judgmental way, but how can we as a whole family to support this person so that this person will no longer be our weakest link? So as a whole family, that we can embrace a new challenge, get into a new phase. And when we're at a new phase, there will be another person be the weakest link. And there are days, moments, months, seasons that I'm the weakest link. I'm like, guys, please support me. I'm the weakest link right now. And so I think not only deepened my relation with my husband, but as a whole family.
Absolutely. And it's so true. I love the essence of being a team. I always say, like, part of our family anthem is teamwork makes the dream work. And I love
Hmm.
that. And we all need strengthening. I love the fact that you included yourself in there because it's so true. I'm not always going to be the strongest one. And I grasp and I learn so much from my children. And it really is a team. And you show up together and you go
100%. And sometimes I really do it intentionally. I don't want to be always the person, the strongest person, so that, especially for boys, they will never have a chance to step up into their superpowers. Sometimes, even though I know how to do it, I'm like, oh my, I don't know how. Like this microphone you see here, my 10 years old built it for me.
oh my
He
God.
opened the box of the little pieces. He set it up. I was like, how, like, I said, mommy doesn't know how to do this. Can you please? And he also enjoys
Oh.
building stuff. So yeah, he set it up for me. He's like, thank you so much. I will never have figured this out. It may take me
I
years.
love that. And you wouldn't want to take that away from them. I think there's such a priceless gift in that. Like, can you do this for mum? Can you serve your brother? That you just see them looking at it with such pride that, oh, I did that. And that's priceless. And you wouldn't want to take that away from them. A bit like the challenges. We don't want to step in and take the challenges away, but also we don't want to take away those golden moments where they can actually serve because it
Yeah, and
really
that is how they build.
everything.
Yeah, that's how they build their confidence, right? Confidence
Exactly.
comes from competence. Competence comes from practice. As they practice, building is like, oh wow, I'm developing my competence, which leads to confidence. If our kid is doing nothing every day, we're doing everything. We are becoming more and more competent. We are becoming more and more confident, but not our kids. So let's not deprive our children of those precious opportunities for personal growth. So he was so
Totally.
proud. He said, "Mommy, I did this. Everything." I was like,
Oh, that's so amazing. That's beautiful. Well done. That is really nice. So, the next question I have is, what's the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
I guess definitely my own emotional regulation, like how easy I could be triggered. Because, it's one thing that you learn about all of those things from books. And that's where I feel like, going back to education, that's why, classroom without walls, we say the best education happens outside the classroom. So before I became a mom, I read so many books. I was like, okay, I got it. No problem. Don't do this. Don't do that. Checklist, print it out, cheat sheet. I have all of that. But in the moment when I'm triggered, I'm triggered. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. Like, this is me knowing all the stuff. So you can see there's a big gap between our intellectual understanding and real life application. And I think the only way to close that gap is through day-to-day practice in the ground, doing the work, real life experience. So that was like, I was surprised to discover that aspect about me because I always thought I was so patient. Oh, I'll be the best mom. I easy peasy everything. I can do it. I will not be triggered. I will not yell. I will not scream. I will definitely not do all of that. Oh, I did all of that when I just became a mom. I was like, wow, this is hard. Like I have the textbook here. Why can't I do this? Breathe. I can't.
Oh, that's so
So
spot
that was a
on.
shocker to me, right? Like, yes, yes.
That's so, so spot on. Like just hearing everything you've shared, it's such an eye opener. Like our children will challenge us regardless for whatever we think we've mastered. One of them will show up to make us realize we're not quite there yet. So,
Yeah, I think it takes time and practice to internalize that, to from the head to the heart. And this is a big gap, and everybody's different. Everybody's different. And and yeah, that's why what makes this really hard because it's not like you read all the best-selling books on motherhood, then you will become a good mom. No, there's no such guarantees. Like how well you can actually close that gap, the
yeah,
execution gap and the intellectual understanding gap, how well you can close that, that makes a difference in terms of being
absolutely. So,
being
so
good.
true.
Yeah.
My next question is, if you could change one thing about how society views and supports mothers, what would it be?
Longer paid maternity leave.
Yes. Straight to the point.
3 years, that would be great. And as a result of that, we're actually raising more emotionally
Oh,
stable, so many long-term benefits. We cannot like, talk the talk. We cannot just talk about, oh, children are our future, but we don't support mothers who are raising the future. Hypocrites.
that is so true. I love that you said that, like the long term impact is so immense, such a positive long term impact. if we can actually just have that concentrated time to focus on our family without having to run off and worry about keeping that income. Because if we do that for the first 3 years, oh my God, that sounds like a utopia. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I would be so
Yeah.
much calmer. Like I'm just looking at my journey. Oh,
Yeah, 100% right. Like if I can also add, I don't know if you sleep trained, your baby or not, and I learned so much about sleep training. Like it's not good for the kid, but I understand why some parents do it because they have to go to work next day.
exactly.
If I
Yeah,
stay up holding my baby, I can't function at my work, especially if you are a doctor, if you're a nurse. Like if you make a mistake or engineer, literally someone can die and you can't afford
exactly.
that. You're like, you know what? Let me sleep train my baby. And nowadays there are lots of what is called there are lots of nannies. They're like they sleep with your baby so you can get sleep. I mean, then you also lose that skin to skin, that bond, that precious first month bonding period with your baby. Just like so many long-term consequences. And so yeah, I think if at the policy level we can really support moms, reduce the stress. They don't have to worry about showing up at work, making mistakes at work, especially for some serious careers.
Exactly.
And we can protect and provide the means for them to be a good mom. Yeah.
Totally agree. And that's all round benefit for the child and for the mum and society. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what has been one of the most misunderstood parts of your journey?
I guess everything seemed to be so easy for you.
Mm,
Like, like when I was doing my podcast, doing videos, and people are like, oh, this looks so easy. Nothing. I feel like nothing is easy for anyone, everyone. I actually just finished reading a book talking about how nowadays we are labeling so many kids are gifted. This kid is gifted, that kid is gifted, and how this is actually a bad thing because the book actually argued. The book was written by a professor at Stanford University. Used so much research to say that truly gifted children are very, very few, like very, very few, 0.0001% of the population. But when you look at every single school, there are so many gifted this, gifted that. So the side effect of this is that when you only praise, oh, you are good at this only because you are gifted, we are actually devaluing the importance of hard work. So it's
that's
not about, oh, I'm gifted at being on camera. I'm gifted like I worked on it. One of my coaches right now, he's so good on camera and he can do a training like 1 or 2 hours. He's just so charismatic, it's so good. And he actually recently told us the reason he was so good at this was because he took 5 classes. He read 10 books on communication, how to talk to camera, and he also took some drawing classes to learn how to draw on the board when you are teaching a YouTube video. I'm like, wow. So it's not about talent, it's not about how gifted you are, it's about how hard you work on this. You know, and I think that part is very misunderstood, especially if a kid is labeled as a gifted. When a
mm,
kid is labeled or anyone is labeled as gifted, when this person runs into a challenge, they're like, oh yeah, I run out of my gift. I'm no longer gifted. No, you were not gifted to begin with. It's just like, it's all about hard work. Like how much time
mm.
did you invest in this that make you a better person, right? Like, yeah, so it's not easy for me. It's not easy for any of my coaches that I feel like it's so easy for them. No, nothing. Nothing is easy for anyone. It's like they put in the work.
I'm so glad you highlighted that because it's a topic that I can really relate to. So I remember growing up, Trey Sean was on the gifted and talented list in school for
Mm,
things, and people had that notion like because he's gifted he just doesn't do anything. And I remember having this conversation with him, and one time he was kind of depleted exactly because of what you said. He said that, mum, everyone says that I'm gifted, but people sort of rob the young person or the person in question of
mm,
effort that is put into
mm.
them. Like he didn't just wake up and like look at the book and like all the answers just downloaded onto the page. He said, mum, I worked hard to get to where I am, and I worked hard at the beginning, really hard, which then made it easier as we went on, but it
Yeah.
didn't take away the fact that there was effort put into it. Similar to like the kids when they were on stage, all 5 of them pretty much grew up in the personal development world, been on stage. Now, although they don't come home and practice their lines pre-events, but they've spent many years in that environment.
Exactly.
They've been to so many events. They've spent many hours with mentors and coaches. So I'm so glad that you highlighted that gifted doesn't take away effort. And I think it's so important that when someone really has taken that time to dedicate and nurture that talent, not to negate and take away the fact that they didn't just wake up like that. There's not zero effort in that respect.
Very few people are like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
exactly.
mean, Albert Einstein has one of his quotes I really love. He said, I'm not a genius, I'm not smart. I just stay with problems longer. I think many
Mm.
young people, they quit. They feel I'm not gifted. They quit 3 feet away from gold, right? They're not willing to stay with any problems longer. Like, oh, look at me, I'm not gifted. This is, what do they say? Math is not for me. Singing, like dance, like this is not for me. And that is a manifestation of fixed mindset, right? No, it can be for you if you are willing to put in the work.
So, so true. I love that. And that's very, very positive approach to that essence. Really, I love that. So, my next question is, how has motherhood changed your perspective of yourself and your goals in general?
I started to realize, wow, I'm so capable. Like I can do so many things. Like I homeschool a bunch of kids. I also learn how to cook, run business, coaching students. I recently restarted my YouTube channel. I'm like, wow, I just know I can become this capable. So that is a surprise.
That's amazing. That's true. Gosh, that is.
Yes, and I'm actually also another thing is I become a lot more productive with my time because I know I don't have the whole day. Unlike like when I was a student, I like the whole day to do whatever. I was not productive. But now I don't have the whole day to do anything. So I'm a lot more very intentional with the time I have, a lot more productive. Yeah. But that also surprised me. But really biggest is how much capacity I actually have. Like year after year, even though I'm growing older, I'm like, what? I can do that? It's incredible.
That's amazing.
I hope the audience is not thinking she's full of herself. She's so, but like,
No, I love it. And I think, you know what I love about what you're
oh,
sharing, Dr. I, is the natural essence of the superpower of motherhood. I love
mm,
how you started this conversation being that if I'm able to give birth to 3 boys, I can do anything. And I love that you touched on it as this common theme about tapping into our inner power, tapping into our choice, and being intentional, being focused, and also exceeding our capacity. Like you, if someone says you're going to run a business, have babies, homeschool, I'm sure you'd be like, what? I can't do all that. But it's all happens, and it's just incredible to observe. I'm a big fan of your work, and you inspire
thank
me more
you.
than you know. So it's just really nice to hear you say what you just shared around your own journey. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. My next journey is, what did you have to sacrifice in order to become a mom?
Um, I don't feel like I sacrificed anything. I wanted to be a mom. I enjoy being a mom. I guess if I have to, I mean, yeah, I mean, I gained some weight. Is that, I guess, like personal time with my husband, but he also enjoys spending time with the baby, right? You know how sometimes some couples like, hey, we don't even have alone time. I mean, I think life is really about, so how do you even say something's a sacrifice? I think that is based on your value. Like actually yesterday, I did an exercise with one of my students. We call the value ladder. It's like a hierarchy of values. So what is the most important value to you? If the most important value to you is family, do you see that as a sacrifice? I don't think so. You see that as like you are doing something because this is really important to you. Like, but I guess technically I sacrifice my time, my body, my freedom, but I want it. I enjoy the sacrifice because of the payout, the payoff, right? So I'm not just looking at the payout, I'm looking at the payoff. But how can you get to the payoff without the payout, right? So the sacrifice is the very reason that I enjoy the journey, right? So for me, I really don't feel like I sacrifice anything. Really only is I gain lots of weight for each pregnancy. But there's also the gain. It inspired me to start to exercise, to be a healthier eater. And I work harder as a mom now. I'm a lot more driven. I'm a lot more clear on my purpose, better time management. And I grow a lot. So it is all worth it. So if it is so worth it, do you call that a sacrifice? I don't know. And I see that as part of the journey for a greater end, right? It's the means to get to a greater end.
That's beautiful. I really love that. Absolutely beautiful. A means to get to a greater end. Really nice. So, who were you before you became a mother, Dr.
Um, I think my life was I had this like so one-dimensional. It's like I was
I?
really a student. Yeah. My whole goal in life was to get as many A's as possible. I I don't feel like I even lived any life. I just studied, more studies. It was not. It was not. It was a very confused life. It was a confused life. I literally thought I was so brainwashed by whatever I consumed. I literally thought if I could be a good student, my life will be taken care of. At least that's the message my parents told me. And I realized that was definitely a mistake. What I've learned is that to succeed in school and to succeed in life, those two things are so different. They require a different set of skills and mindset. But I didn't know that before. So my life before I became a mom was really simple. Student. That's it. I didn't do any intern. I did nothing. I didn't even date. I did nothing. I literally did nothing. No, I'm like, that was so sad. Like, I will make sure my kids don't repeat that. They have lots of activities, things they want to do, hang out, all sorts of things. Boy Scout, get involved, have a life. Don't just study. What's the point? Why do we study so hard? So that we can become a good citizen contributing to society. Then you have to be part of the society in order to contribute to the society, not only in the classroom, so isolated. So yeah, that was my only identity. Study as your typical Asian straight A model student. And studied. Yes.
Wow. It's made you who you are today. It's beautiful. So,
Oh,
my next question is, what has been the gift of motherhood to you?
definitely made me a stronger person. And when I want to give up, like I feel like I cannot give up. I have three kids I need to take care of. So yeah, made me a lot more resilient. I was looking at my children the other day. I was like, wow, I want to give them as much as possible. I started to cry, I got really emotional, like my source of inspiration. So yeah, made me a lot stronger.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful gift. So we've got a couple, excuse me, trivia questions here, just to lighten the load a little bit. So my first question I'd like to ask, if each one of your sons were to write a book about you, what would the title be?
Uh, I think I'm not sure about my youngest because he's only 3, but I think my oldest, my two kids, probably somewhere around the fearless mom. That's kind of
I love that.
go, fearless mom. Yes, yes.
That's awesome. It's really awesome. The next one I have is, what's the funniest mum fail moment that you can remember?
Yes, I fell asleep. My kid fell off the bed a few times for each of them, every single one.
Oh, and it's the noise, that fud, your heart just sinks and goes, oh my God.
I know, you're still alive. I'm still alive. Woo!
Oh,
It's not funny. It was funny
oh,
and scary at the same
yeah,
time.
at the time it's not funny, but I'm only laughing because I can totally relate. And you pick them up and they just look at you so joyous and they just laugh away sometimes. And you wonder who
Yeah.
got hurt more, you or them. So my next question is, what's your go-to hideout place when you need a break?
Nature.
Oh,
I love taking walks. I take walks every day.
That's awesome.
It's my personal time, use the stroller. I either listen to something or I don't listen to something. I just kind of idle time, allow my brain to kind of think, process things, and spend time with nature. I really enjoy it.
Beautiful. I love nature too. It's really nice. Next question is, what's been the strangest thing that you've found in your child's backpack or pocket?
Candies. I get it's that we told them you're not supposed to eat candies. We don't have candies in the house. So that's why it is strange. It's always strange, like, where did you find that candy? Especially the homeschoolers.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. Yeah, when we were cutting down on candy, I would always find things like that. Or my boys, I guess my boys, and Yasmin's in the middle of the boys as well. So they'll sometimes just have insects. And I was like, why? You know, I'm going to go in there. And they always found it funny because I'd be like, and they'll just laugh their heads off. So I think they put it in there for me.
Yeah, like our kids, they have snakes as their pets. So insect just like, yes, I was just okay. But yeah, we literally have two big snakes. And sometimes they will have the snakes wrapped around their body to do homework in front of me.
Oh my God.
That's why I fear this mom. Like most moms would say no.
So
And
cool.
we have mice in our fridge as the food for the snakes.
Oh, you're a lot braver than me. My kids have held like tarantulas and had snakes, but not in house. I would faint because if I look at the cage and it's not there, I would just faint. Just
You haven't. And sometimes they'll scare me. Like for example, this is a notebook. I was like, I'll grab my notebook, and they have the snake under the notebook. And one time I grabbed it, I feel like I
no.
peed in my pants. Okay, I'm
Oh,
sorry. And
yeah.
it was. I was like, no, listen, no more of this, guys.
They love that. You know, the way they laugh,
You're so funny. Like,
they love it. They absolutely love it. But yeah, I wouldn't last long. I wouldn't last long.
yeah, their lifespan is like 20 years old, so going to be with us for a long time. Those snakes.
Beautiful. It's nice they can experience that. You're very brave. You're definitely a fearless mum. God, not me. Next question I have for you is, if our community of listeners could support you in free, transformative ways, what would you ask for? I want you to think about something that may be personal for yourself, something for your business. Like, what could the listeners?
Yeah, I will not be too greedy. Okay, I'm not going to give you a long list. So right now, I do regular reflection, like it's very important to me. So I did a Q1 reflection with myself, and my Q2, my challenge for myself is that I really want to be more consistent with my YouTube channel. So if everyone can subscribe, check out my YouTube channel, greatly appreciated. Yes, that's it.
That's all. You still got two more.
Oh, tour, okay.
Yeah. What else can we do? Is there
Yeah,
a TV show you'd like to be on, or connect with a brand? Like, what would you ask for? If you could ask for anything, what would it be?
yeah, I don't even feel like that. So I think just the YouTube channel is really great. And is this for my personal or for my
It's
business?
entirely up to you. Just if the community of listeners can support you in some way, what would be great for you?
Yes, I think yes, the YouTube channel would be great. And
What is the
I'm
YouTube
pretty
channel name so they can find it, please?
yes. I actually just changed my name, changed the name for my channel, and that's what I'm thinking. I don't want to give you the old name. I think is life coaching for teenagers and young adults. You search that life coaching for teenagers and young adults, and also add classroom without walls. You can probably find it.
Brilliant. And I will definitely make sure that it's tagged in the
Yeah,
information.
I can also send it to you.
Thank you.
And I guess I'm really pretty good with my life, and if I'm also getting ready to organize to do an upcoming live training, like a 5-day challenge. So if anyone is interested, they can join the training. And it is like parents in the past, lots of parents have attended this training. They love it. And so the training is titled 6 Shifts to Help Your Kid Elevate Their Confidence, Motivation, and Success. So I will discuss 6 powerful shifts that parents can make today to really help their kid become a different person, become a better version of who they are, elevate their confidence, remove their fear of failures, elevate their motivation, have a healthier relationship with their screen, and have more success, however they define success. So yeah, those are really the two things, the upcoming training and subscribe my YouTube channel and send me some love.
I love that. Send me some love. Brilliant. So, my next question is, what's one way that you plan on paying it forward as a result of our conversation today?
So in the future, or so
Just
in the future, I have lots of dreams, and my goal is that actually I have been donating. So I really want to create a classroom without was scholarship, like for the young people who cannot. Yeah, I actually have donated, sponsored quite a few kids, and I want to continue to do this on a larger scale. So yeah, this is really my way paying forward, and I want to help those young people. I believe every kid is genius. Every kid is capable regardless of their current challenges, regardless of their academic performance. And I really want to give every kid an opportunity to shine, to thrive in spite of their current situation. And so, yeah, so like I want to, in the next several years, I want to really continue to grow my classroom without was scholarship for the kids who cannot afford my program, but they can still be supported.
That's amazing. That's so exciting to hear. Do you have any plans to write a book at any time soon, Dr. Ali?
I think so. I think so, but not in the near future, but probably, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not, as you can tell, I'm like a talker.
Yeah. It'll be great. I would love to get a book from you. Brilliant.
Yes, I could. Yeah, so I created my curriculum several years ago, and over the last several years, I have worked with so many people. So my curriculum is solid. So I'm constantly improving, refining the curriculum. I'm really, really proud of what I have created. And I have worked with so many young people, completely changed the trajectories of their lives. That
Wow.
makes me feel so good, so good. So yeah, one of those days I'm going to have a book.
Absolutely incredible. So, my next question is, how do you hope sharing your story on this podcast will impact the listeners and viewers?
I think first really have that self-love, have that self-validation, have that acceptance. Remember what I said earlier about that emotional, because I was in that guilt, no, don't feel good about myself, like so guilty, shame, whatever emotional state for a long time. That didn't help me, only made everything worse. And I think especially as mom, we have already have this tendency to be that perfect picture, perfect mom. So just accept, love yourself, accept everything as the way they are, but don't stop there, right? So we first practice acceptance and then we make that separation. I'm a good mom, but I do have some challenges in my life. What can I do to, as I say, close the gaps in those challenges? Seek support, reach out to community, and if you can, join different coaching programs and invest in your personal growth. I think, yeah. But the biggest one is like love yourself, accept yourself, for who you are, where you are, and build that self worth. And our self worth is not based on anything external. I really build like it's only based on everything internal. Love us for who we are, appreciate where we are in life, and go from there.
Beautiful. Absolutely love that. Especially love yourself. That's so important. My next question is, what are you proud of yourself for?
My hunger for growth. I'm just like I'm so hungry for learning. I'm so hungry for growth. Like I feel like if I'm not growing, I'm dying. I can be a very obsessed. My mom literally calls me an extremist. I'm like, if I decide to do something, I go all in. I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's really, yeah, I'm very obsessed with what I do. And I have this like expanding hunger for knowledge, for growth, for learning. And I'm very, very proud of myself for that.
You should be. It comes across the passion that you have. It really comes across. Really is. My next question is, what do you want to say sorry to yourself for?
For not being nice to myself, for not loving myself, for being so mean and cruel to myself. So I want to say sorry to myself for that,
That's beautiful. What do you have to forgive yourself for?
for not being perfect. Just accept, right? I mean, sometimes when I look at my video, I think that's probably a reason I kind of stopped doing YouTube videos. Like, oh, I don't feel like my eyes are not big enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't look like American. Like just like all those small things. I have an accent, all of that thing, those things. But just I need to just accept this is a whole package. Forgive myself for not being this ideal version. I don't even know where I got that from. Just learning to accept.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. What do you have to say thank you to yourself for?
For thanking myself for not giving up. For not giving up, especially in the early days of running my business. I remember there was 1 year, not early days, it's when you do something in life, especially when you have a big goal, that goal always comes with challenges. So yeah, I'm really thankful for not giving up, even though I have all the reasons to give up, but I didn't. So I'm really thankful for myself for keep going.
I'm thankful you didn't give up so we could actually meet you. I know one of my children in particular, Trey Sean's, had the pleasure
Mm.
with working closely with yourself. And I have been a huge fan for many years. I love your teachings. I love the way you conduct yourself and your approach to life. So I want to thank you for not giving up. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
my final question for you is, what are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of this conversation?
Hmm. I think it's something I continue to work on, and this conversation has given me more clarity. It's really my past, and I need to be more in love with my future and not always be a victim of my past. And for all I really struggle a lot as a student. And when I was a high school student, I actually got an eating disorder for 4 years. I lost my period for 4 years. It was really tough. There was lots of public shaming, bully when I was a kid. As I said earlier, right, mass is your message, and I need to really see. Because of that, it made me who I am today. Like acknowledge the side effect, right, the bad things, but also acknowledge if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have I wouldn't be where I am today. So kind of forgive myself for all the hardships I went through as a kid, and but see the benefits behind that. And if this is, God, if this is what I have to do to get to where I am, I'm at peace with my past.
Wow. Oh, I felt that. That's powerful. That is really
Mm.
powerful. Doctor, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect here with me. I thank you for answering the questions so openly and vulnerably. I thank you for sharing a journey with me. You know, we've
Mm.
spoken over the years, but I feel like each time we speak, I get to know you at a different level. And today was definitely one of those experiences. So, from my heart to yours, just thank you for spending this time with me in this space. I've got a brief message to you, listeners. Listeners, let's turn words into action. If you're moved by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or how small, whether it's through a kind message, a shared resource, or connecting with our guests. Let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you for tuning into Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your stories matter. And together, we can create ripple effects of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we are stronger together. Until next time, let's keep uplifting each other and turning unheard cries into powerful voices. Thank you so much, Dr. I.
Oh, thank you.